Imagine a world where science is decades ahead of its time. Imagine machines so advanced that even today they feel impossible. And imagine a desperate empire, Nazi Germany, pouring its final breath, final resources, and final madness into creating weapons the world had never seen before. Some became real, some remained blueprints, and some were so strange that even historians still argue whether they truly existed or not. Welcome to the dark vaults of Hitler's secret arsenal, where fact and fiction twist together. Today we search for the truth behind Nazi Germany's secret weapons, what was real, what was myth, and what was so dangerous that it changed the course of modern warfare forever. Our journey begins in the final years of World War II, when Nazi scientists were under immense pressure. Hitler wanted Wunderwaffe, miracle weapons, machines that could turn the tide of the war even when defeat was certain. Germany was losing territory, men, resources, but not ambition. In laboratories hidden deep inside mountains, in underground factories, and in top-secret engineering bases, extraordinary machines were being designed at a terrifying speed. But how many of these weapons were real? Let's start with the one weapon that actually changed the world, the V-2 rocket. This was no myth. It was the first long-range ballistic missile ever built. A weapon that flew so high it left the atmosphere, then fell at supersonic speed with no warning. When the first V-2 hit London in 1944, there was no sound of approach, no defense, no escape. It simply appeared as an explosion. This was the world's first glimpse of modern missile warfare, designed by Wernher von Braun, the man who would later help America reach the moon. The V-2 was real, deadly, and 20 years ahead of its time. But the V-2 wasn't the only weapon to rise from Nazi experiments. The world's first operational jet fighter, the Me-262, was also real. This aircraft was faster than anything the Allies had. Jet engines made it nearly impossible for Allied fighters to catch. If Nazi Germany had produced these jets earlier or in larger numbers, the air war might have taken a very different turn. But Hitler's obsession with turning it into a bomber delayed its production, and history took a different path. Still, some Nazi weapons enter the world of mystery. One of them is the rumored Die Glocke, also known as the Bell, a strange metallic object described by supposed eyewitnesses as a bell-shaped machine that glowed violet and rotated at high speed. Some claim it was an anti-gravity device. Others say it was a time distortion experiment. Officially, there is no proof it existed. Unofficially, its blueprints, witnesses, and missing scientists raise more questions than answers. Was it real or wartime imagination? The truth remains locked away, classified, lost, or destroyed. But while Die Glocke is debated, there were other clear attempts at engineering the unbelievable. Nazi scientists were developing infrared night vision scopes as early as 1944. They mounted them on rifles and tanks, allowing soldiers to see in darkness long before night vision became common in modern armies. Then came the electric supertank projects, massive machine concepts like the Landkreuzer P-1000 Rata. This was a tank so gigantic that it was practically a moving fortress. Over 1,000 tons, thicker armor than any tank ever designed, and weapons that rivaled naval battleships. Could it have worked? Probably not, but Nazi engineers were crazy enough to attempt the impossible. And then, there is the haunting concept of the Horten Ho 229, the world's first prototype of a stealth aircraft. Its sleek flying wing design looks almost identical to the stealth bombers used today. Radar-absorbing materials were tested on it. If completed earlier, this aircraft could have bypassed Allied radar entirely. This design alone shows how dangerously advanced some Nazi ideas truly were. But what truly blurs the line between fact and fiction are the stories of secret underground labs. Entire factories, hidden deep beneath mountains, like in the Harz region, where thousands of prisoners worked and died producing weapons that were never finished. Witnesses described machinery so complex and so unusual that historians still debate what exactly was being built there. As the war drew to a close, Nazi scientists destroyed documents, evacuated labs, and fled the country. Many surrendered to the United States under Operation Paperclip. Others escaped to South America. Many simply disappeared. And with them, the truth behind many mysterious weapons vanished into history. So what were Nazi secret weapons, fact or fiction? The answer is far more complicated than a simple yes or no. Some were real and changed the world forever. Some were concepts that could have changed history if completed. And some remain buried in myth, rumor, and shadows. The deeper we go into the world of Nazi secret weapons, the more the line between science and madness begins to blur. As Germany's chances of winning the war collapsed, Hitler's demands grew more extreme. He wanted machines that defied physics, weapons that could terrorize the world, and technology that could rewrite the laws of nature. And desperate scientists, trapped between loyalty and fear, began pushing the boundaries of what was possible and what should never have been attempted. Among the most chilling ideas was the concept of an energy weapon. Some documents and testimonies describe a device called a Sonnengewehr, or sun gun. This monstrous weapon was imagined as a giant mirror placed in Earth's orbit, capable of focusing sunlight into a burning beam to destroy entire cities. Impossible in 1945 and still impossible today, yet the fact that Nazi engineers even considered such a concept shows just how far their imagination could stretch under pressure. Then there were the so-called UFO programs. Multiple engineers and captured researchers claimed that Nazi scientists had experimented with circular aircraft designs, flying discs powered by electromagnetic engines. These designs, known as the Haunebu and Vrilcraft, appear in scattered sketches and unexplained documents that surfaced after the war. Some say they were prototypes that never left the lab. Others claim they took flight during secret tests in Czechoslovakia. Were these real, or clever propaganda to intimidate the Allies? No one knows for sure, but the idea that Nazi Germany could have created disc-shaped aircraft has fueled decades of conspiracy and curiosity. What we do know, however, is that Nazi scientists were pioneers in unusual propulsion systems. In the final months of the war, Germany tested aircraft with rocket engines, ramjets, pulse jets, anything that could give them an edge. The desperation created innovation, but it also created chaos. Some designs exploded during testing, others were so unstable that pilots refused to fly them, and many never left the drawing board, locked in a world of impossible dreams. But the darkest side of Nazi secret weapon development was not the technology, it was the human cost. Forced labor from concentration camps was used in underground factories where men, women, and children worked in freezing, suffocating tunnels. Thousands died building weapons they would never see for a war that was already lost. The cost of those dreams was paid in human lives, something history cannot forget. As the Allies advanced, Nazi scientists tried to erase their work. Documents were burned, blueprints were hidden. Whole laboratories were blown up. But even with efforts to destroy evidence, enough survived for the world to understand that Nazi Germany had been operating at a terrifying level of scientific ambition. When the United States, Britain, and the Soviet Union captured German scientists, they were stunned by what they found. Operation Paperclip brought more than 1,600 German engineers, physicists, and experts to America. Many of the technologies we use today, guided missiles, jet fighters, stealth concepts, night vision, rockets, were built on the foundation of German wartime research. The V-2 rocket alone became the basis for NASA's early space program. In a strange twist of fate, the same mind behind a deadly missile gave humanity the path to the moon. So were Nazi secret weapons fact or fiction? The truth is a combination of both. Some of the most terrifying weapons, like the V-2 Me-262 and early night vision systems, were absolutely real. Others, like the massive supertanks and stealth prototypes, were partially real, built but never completed. And some, like the Bell and the UFO projects, remain surrounded by mystery, with just enough evidence to make historians argue, but not enough to confirm anything. What these weapons reveal is not just the ambition of Nazi Germany, but the danger of desperation. When a collapsing regime seeks miracles instead of reality, science becomes distorted, twisted, and poisoned by fantasy. Whether these weapons could have changed the outcome of the war is still debated. Most likely, Germany's lack of resources, fuel, manpower, and time meant that even the most advanced weapons could not save the collapsing empire. But what is certain is this: the ideas, blueprints, and experiments carried out during those final years changed the future of technology. They shaped the Cold War. They influenced the space race. They inspired inventions that today are part of everyday life. And they left behind a legacy of innovation shadowed by moral horror. In the end, the story of Nazi Germany's secret weapons is not just about machines. It is about the terrifying power of ambition without ethics, science without humanity, and leaders who believed they could conquer the world with miracles. If you want more videos like this, dive deeper into this series. There are still underground bases to explore, lost prototypes to uncover, and mysteries from World War II that continue to haunt history.